I will reshape the world as I remade our people.
I will not allow it!
That is why you must die.
What's up everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I am going over Wayfinder and why you should be playing it in 2025. If you love RPGs and you haven't tried it, you are seriously missing out. So let's jump right into the video and we will see why Wayfinder is one of the top RPGs you should be playing going into 2025. All right, so it's no secret that I love RPGs if you couldn't tell from, my channel and all the content that I do surrounding RPG games. And my favorite genre is action RPGs. I love the Dark Souls series. I've beaten every single Soulsborne, except for Sekiro. I need to do that. But anyway, so going into Wayfinder and why you should be playing it in 2025, I have a huge list of reasons why I honestly think it's a great game. And it's a game that I did recently pick up, and they did release their 1.0 version, which completely changed the game. So let's start with a little backstory on that. So Wayfinder initially released is this shared world, like MMORPG type game, and then their publisher dropped them. And I know when you hear like, oh, their publisher dropped them, you immediately like, oh, well, okay, like if their publisher dropped them, like what's going on? Why is he recommending this game? If even their publisher backed out. But honestly, it was the best thing that could have happened to this game, because when their publisher dropped them, because it did drop as a free game, it was a freemium game, there was a battle pass, there was microtransactions, all of that stuff. And after their publisher dropped them, they basically had a choice. They were public about the choice, where they were like, hey, either we like change our game and like charge for it, or we keep it freemium and the game's gonna die and then no one gets to play it, right? So when it came to their decision, they decided to make it almost a completely different game the way that it plays. There's no microtransactions anymore. Everything that's in the game is stuff that you can earn in game, which is huge because especially in today's climate, I think all of us appreciate a game that doesn't have any microtransactions, and the fact that you can earn stuff. And it's not like a huge grind, like I unlocked all of the playable characters within like the first few hours of playing the game. Like that is something that you can do. They have what used to be a battle pass is now like you just gain XP towards like this quote unquote battle pass, and you unlock like free rewards, but it's all free. Like you don't have to buy it, you don't have to pay anything, you can get all the stuff off of the quote unquote battle pass. So honestly, it's great. And there's still like co-op, like you can play the entire game solo, or you can invite friends to do like the dungeons and bosses and everything with you. So honestly, with all of that combined, starting off, it's pretty great, right? And you'll have gameplay in the background. This is actually the second region of the game, and this leads me into the game itself. So when it comes to the game itself and the gameplay that you're going to experience, you're going to experience mainly a story-driven RPG, action RPG game. There is with the 1.0 release, they actually added a new one, which I haven't even got to yet. But there is 3 open world distinct locations that are all very different. And from what I've seen so far, they all look fantastic. I've played through the first 2 and they are amazing, honestly. Like I love the environments. I love the art style of this game. And they're pretty big too. Like there's a lot of content here in this game. And when you're not exploring the open world environment, you have these dungeons. There's these different areas of the map that open up to like basically the dungeon interface, where you can go in, you can pick the dungeon that you want to do, and then you go through it. And the thing that's nice is it's semi procedurally generated. So the enemies that you might find in the dungeon are going to change from run to run. The layout can be slightly different. There's like tile sets basically where you're recognized like, oh, I'm doing this event, or oh, this section is like something I've done before, but it all like kind of gets thrown together, and when this dungeon is generated in like a beautiful way that all flows very naturally, and it feels fantastic. And it's nice too when you want to do maybe you're doing a void dungeon to unlock Kairos, and you're not just doing the same dungeon, and getting really bored because you're doing the same dungeon. You're just trying to get the Kairos drop so that way you can get the character, right? Like it's going to be different every time. And that's what's fantastic about it is the dungeons that you delve into are a ton of fun. There is mutators, which is another way to play, and you also get a benefit. So there's different mutators. There's ones that can like make it so bombs randomly drop, or there's piles of gold everywhere, but the more gold you collect, the more damage that you take. And this also gives your Wayfinder a 10% increase to their XP gain that you gain throughout the whole dungeon, and then it goes up. So if you add like another mutator, it's 20, and then I think you can add up to 3, and then you get 30% increase. And it also changes too. So if you do more than one mutator, it's also going to have an even new effect. So if you do like the greed, which is for the gold, and then the bombs, you're going to get golden bombs, right? And so it'll case enemies with gold, and it makes them a lot tankier and stuff. So it can also get pretty crazy, but also add like a fun, unique challenge to the game. And there's a ton of loot. It is like a loot-based RPG, so you're constantly finding new loot, and the system for the loot, as well as the build options and the character customization, is one of my favorite things about this game. There are a ton of different weapons, and there's a ton of different weapon categories, and the categories aren't locked behind like the character you're playing. Any character can equip any weapon, which again is absolutely fantastic, because as someone who likes to make build videos and loves building and loves tinkering around with stuff, build diversity is one of my favorite and most important things in games. It's one of the things that I look for the most. So being able to play whatever Wayfinder I want and use whatever weapon I want with them and make whatever build I want is absolutely fantastic. But besides the weapons, you have your armor sets that you can change out, and these will all have like different stats and effects on them. And then you have what's known as echoes, which drop from enemies, which are kind of like their souls, or the echo of their soul that you capture. And they also have like benefits. Some of them, most of them are just like stat boosts, and then there's a couple that they go into a special slot, because there's different slots. There'll be like an offensive slot, defensive slot, kind of a mixed bag. But there's one specific slot that is basically kind of like a boss monster slot, and these usually give you some type of like effect. So one of the ones that you probably see on the screen is when an enemy hits me, it has like a 30-second cooldown, but when an enemy hits me, this like worm monster sprouts out of the ground. It hits them in retaliation, and it does like damage up front, and then it does damage over time. And that's just like one of the many effects. I have another one where whenever I activate my weapon ability, it drops like this like flare of light that does like an AoE explosion as part of it. So there's a lot of cool stuff, and that's the thing that's really cool about this game, is there is almost like an infinite amount of build options and just like different things that you can do. The character you see me playing now is called like Venom S, I think that's how you pronounce it. And she is like this poison-based character. She's almost like a support-based character, but I love playing her solo because she is just kind of like a drain tank almost. Like she's like a drain support, and I'd say like tank, but she's not like super tanky or anything. I have a lot of HP here, but basically what she does is she constantly heals and dots. So like all of her weapon attacks apply a dot, and then all of her abilities do like the dot damage as well, and put this like these venom stacks on these enemies. But on top of that, you also get things where you can like you heal from all the venom damage, and you leave like pools on the ground of venom that also are like constantly healing you. So she's a lot of fun to me because I can run around with dual daggers and kind of play like this like rogue that uses poisons, and just have like this constant healing and health regeneration going as I'm like dotting and everything's dying around me. And it's a really fun way to play her. She has like her own signature weapon, which is like a rifle, and it works really well with her, obviously, because it's her signature weapon. But I prefer to use the daggers with her and play like that rogue playstyle, even if it's not the most optimal thing. I find it enjoyable, and I find it a lot of fun. And that's the thing that's great about this game, is the fact that no matter what playstyle you subscribe to, no matter what different things you want to try, you can make it work. There's like so much loot and customization in the game that you can make basically any build that you think of work, which is absolutely fantastic. And speaking of that, for people that are into fashion, the way their characters look is me. I too like to create a character and make them look unique. Obviously, we have preset characters in the game, so you don't create your character from scratch. But with how much customization there is, it's almost like you do, because of the fact that there's like a transmogrify system basically, where it's like the armor that you're wearing, you can pick separate armor parts you want yourself to actually look like. So you can do it for your hairstyle, and then your armor, your chest plate, your greaves, whatever special thing your character has. Maybe like a backpack, like Venomous has like a poison, kind of like vial on her back, and like I have it in the shape of a heart. And there's also dyes in the game too, and you can dye like every piece of like armor as well as your weapons as well, and you can collect these dyes as you go through and do stuff. So You have all these different options to make your character look however you want him to. My character looks nothing like, what the original character looks like. I have all these different customization on her, and same with her weapons. I went with like this like yin yang type look, and I put on her weapon and like her color and everything. So it's really, really cool. And the combat itself is a lot of fun. Like it's a really solid action RPG. Like it feels fluent, things flow together well. You're able to transition from one action to another pretty seamlessly using your abilities, the attacks, the different weapons. The different weapons feel very distinct, whether you're using like a heavy, like two-handed greatsword, or using a sword and shield, or the daggers, or even like the guns. The gun gameplay feels solid as well. So, the enemies, they don't just stand around and do absolutely nothing. Like they'll actively try to so you have like this fun, engaging combat where you're going through dungeons, you're going through the open world, and you're fighting all manner of different types of like enemies. There's a good diversity of like enemies and enemy types in the game, and all of it is very fun. And that's like most important part to me above all else is the game fun, because it doesn't matter how flashy or cool or grandiose your game looks or how great the sound design is if the game itself isn't fun. That's why we play video games, is to have fun, and this game is a ton of fun. So that's like just some of the things that I wanted to cover and why I highly recommend you check out this game. It is on sale right now as of uploading this video for $15, and which is a great deal for this game, honestly. Like I think that with how much content there is, because there's so much to do, and I think the average playthrough is like 30-40 hours. Honestly, it's going to take you longer. I'm already at over 20 hours, and I just made it to like the second region when I was at like the 20-hour mark, and there's still stuff I could have done in the main region, like side quests and more exploration in the open world and stuff. But there's a ton to do. It's super worth it for the money, and I highly recommend that if you are a fan of action RPGs and this type of playstyle, and you can even get a couple friends, which will make the experience so much better, go ahead and give Wayfinder a try. I'm not sponsored in any sort of way. I honestly want to share this hidden gem, because I feel like ever since like its publisher dropped it and everything, there wasn't as much conversation about this game, and I haven't seen a lot of people be talking about it. And then when the 1.0 released, it did kind of get like a little bit more, but still not as much as it deserves. So I highly recommend that you go out, you give it a try, find some people in the community. I have a Discord, so you can come and join the Discord. There's a link in the description if you want to find people to play Wayfinder with, and like just have a ton of fun. Just have a ton of fun, experience the game. The story's pretty solid. The voice acting's pretty good. They have some really cool cutscenes as well. But ultimately, I think that is an absolutely fantastic game that you would be remiss not to give a try, especially if you're looking for a new game going into 2025. But that's going to do it for me today. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy this video, just leave a like on the video. And if you want to see more videos surrounding mainly like RPG games and action RPGs and different types of stuff surrounding that, D&D content, all that good stuff, then just hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so that way you're notified whenever I do upload. I will be uploading on a weekly basis, so make sure to come back next week for next week's video. But other than that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.